What's going on, baseball fans? Jeremy Laracuente here for the Baseball Banter Broadcast. And on this broadcast, we continue our series looking at an early observation for each team in Major League Baseball. Today, the team that we are bantering about, the Oakland Athletics. Now, I think it's very clear, it's very obvious that this will be the worst team of all time. When you look at their record, and at the time of this recording, the record stands at 12-46. This is one of the worst teams that I have ever watched play the sport of baseball. Now, that being said, this is obviously something that was intentionally done, in my opinion, by the ownership group in order to flee Oakland and head out to Las Vegas. We've already covered that here on the channel in terms of the Oakland A's relocating and that news, so we're not going to harp on it too much on this video. But I think that when you look at the team that's actually being put out on the field, it is not major league caliber ready. And we have a corresponding article up on laracuenteledger.com, as we do for each one of these installments of this early observation series. So I will leave links to the article in the show notes below to the article on laracuenteledger.com. But there's a very simple fact with this team, is that they do not look major league ready. There are some major league caliber players on this team, but at the end of the day, the team is not being filled and given the opportunities to truly win. Now, that being said, obviously on any given day, any team can beat another. A broken clock is right twice a day. And we would see that with Oakland taking 2 out of 3 from the Atlanta Braves this past week. But there's no doubt that this team is going to lose the most games in the history of the modern era, in my opinion. And that's saying something, because there is a lot to really start to harp on this team about. And I think that when we look at what is happening with this team, again, it all comes down to the fact that the ownership group is trying to move out of Oakland and into Las Vegas, being given all this money to build a new stadium in Las Vegas instead of trying to figure something out and remain in Oakland. This team that we're seeing put on the field, in my opinion, it is worse than what we would see at AAA. And it's not a knock on the players. I think that there are players that are still trying to learn the craft, still trying to develop and grow, and they're just not being given the resources to be able to do so properly. And I also think that the front office over the years has tried to get too cute because of, the money ball and everything like that, and trying to be too far ahead of the curve. And what happens is that when you have an ownership group that is being cheap, honestly, and not trying to field a competitive team, you have this situation here. And in my opinion, when you look at what the Oakland A's are to the American League West, they are absolutely going to play the biggest factor in the wild cards for the American League. There's already a ton of competition in the American League East. All 5 teams are over 500. All 5 teams have at least 28 wins. And when you look at the fact that they're going to be beating up on each other, while the 4 teams in the American League West that are somewhat competitive at this point, between the Rangers, the Astros, the Angels, and the Mariners, they're going to feast on this absolutely terrible team in Oakland. And yes, there are less games against them because of the new balanced schedule, but 13 games for each one of those 4 teams against the A's, where the teams in the East, right, because you figure that there's going to be teams coming out of the American League East in that wild card hunt, are going to have to be facing off against real competition each and every time they play a division opponent, where the West is going to have this absolutely just serving of nothingness in the Oakland A's. So it's going to be a very interesting year to see how things kind of shake out. To me, Rob Manfred has done a absolutely terrible job in greenlighting this ownership group to be able to move out of Oakland, especially when you consider he's threatening to relocate the Milwaukee Brewers for not trying to be competitive in terms of getting a new stadium or updating their stadium, but yet you're giving Oakland the green light. There's just a lot of convoluted things going on with this Oakland A's franchise, and in my opinion, it is terrible for baseball. They need to be booted out and have a new ownership group come in place for this Oakland A's organization, and we'll see what happens when they move to Vegas, because it's already done deal. So we'll see if it changes anything. I don't think that it's going to change anything for this franchise. I think that as long as John Fisher and the group that is in charge there, Billy Bean included, as long as they're still doing what they're doing right now and not fielding a competitive team, no matter where they're playing, no matter where their home stadium is, it's still going to be a joke of an organization right now. And this was one of the most historic franchises in Major League Baseball throughout the course of the history of this game. So it's absolutely, in my opinion, one of the worst decisions that Rob Manfred could have greenlit to allow them to be able to go about looking and moving the team elsewhere. It should have been an ousting of the ownership group. But I will leave the rest of this rant for you down in the comments. Let me know, baseball fans, A's fans, how are you feeling about everything that has been going down? Let me know that down in the comments, or find me over on Twitter at banter_baseball, and we can keep this conversation rolling. As always, if you want to find more from us, we have our social media outlets on Instagram and TikTok at Baseball Banter Broadcast. Again, corresponding article up on laracuenteledger.com. Links are in the show notes below. We have new articles that come out daily on laracuenteledger.com, mostly covering the world of Major League Baseball. So if you're a fan of baseball, which you would be following this YouTube channel, make sure you head over there and check out the new articles that we post daily. We also have our merchandise shop, baseballbanterbroadcast.com, and it does a huge service if you want to head over there and check it out. We have a ton of promo codes you can use to save on some merch to rep the channel. And this is a YouTube channel, so the best way to help us grow is by hitting the subscribe button if you haven't already. Most of our audience is not yet subscribed, so if you are loving what you're seeing from us here at the Baseball Banter Broadcast, then make sure you hit that subscribe button and the bell for post notifications, as each and every time we have a new subscriber, it continues to grow the base and the reach of the Baseball Banter Broadcast. So I want to thank you for tuning in. Keep it locked in, as on the next broadcast, we banter about baseball. Peace.